you want to go to Antarctica, you can't just print off a plane ticket. It's a continent without a permanent runway. Frozen over and in darkness for 6 months of the year, it might be the closest thing on Earth to being in outer space. But if your heart is set on going south, as they call it, you're likely going to head to one of these places first. There are 5 historic gateway cities connecting to the continent. Their proximity, connections and history mean that most Antarctic traffic head through these ports first. Just looking at this map from the turn of the century, much of Antarctica was a blank space still to be discovered. Long before we really knew what was down there, we knew these cities were going to be important. Christchurch, New Zealand is perhaps the gateway most people are familiar with. It's home to the US program and many other international research missions. But working your way anti-clockwise around the continent, you'll come to the next of these cities. Hobart, Tasmania. Everything under here is the historic Australian claim. Cape Town, South Africa is the third of these gateways, accessing the ice at the bottom of the Atlantic. Then finally, where Antarctica comes up to reach South America, there are the final 2. Ushuaia and Punta Arenas in Argentina and Chile. It's here where access to the continent is its easiest, maybe a day's rough sailing across the Drake Passage. It's also the place which has embraced tourism the most, where 99% of all tourists pass through. If you're heading south, it's likely you're going through one of these cities.
That's the bottom of the Andes, the end of South America, looking pretty spectacular.
But the route south and the places of these cities as gateways is fast changing. Today it's only about 63% of shipping passes through these cities. With interest in Antarctica growing, so too are arrivals from non-gateway cities. As a continent protected by international treaties, there's no port authority protecting these open borders. This leaves Antarctica and much of the southern seas open to issues such as private adventurism, illegal whaling, and even biofouling, where invasive species are accidentally introduced on the bottom of shipping. But the solution to this is perhaps, rather than restricting access, is creating more gateway cities and holding them to gateway standards. As today Antarctica remains remote, it's not so much of a mystery anymore. Records of ships bound for Antarctica, published by the US National Academy of Sciences, show that some boats are travelling huge distances to get there, as far away as Singapore, Bristol, or even the Canary Islands in Spain. But today, if you're heading south as a tourist, it's more likely than not you'll be heading through one of these 5 cities.